Good morning, students. And in this class, we are going to start the next lesson from Decolonizing the Mind by Ngugi Thiong'o. And Ngugi Thiong'o, he is a very famous Kenyan writer, novelist, essayist, playwright, journalist, editor. And when we come to his education, he did his education or completed his education mainly in Kenya, basic education mainly in Kenya. Next, for the further education, for the higher education, he got it mainly from Britain. And later he worked as a professor of English and comparative literature and director of the International Center for Writing and Translation at the University of California, Irvine. And he writes primarily in Gikuyu Swahili. Gikuyu, it is his mother tongue. That is both Gikuyu and Swahili. They both are the local languages of Kenya. And this particular, actually, from Decolonizing the Mind has been taken mainly from his series of essays, Decolonizing the Mind, and it was published in the year 1986. It is the series of essays based on Ngugi's lectures. He has given so many lectures, and all of them they are collected in the form of essays, in the form of series, and they were published mainly during 1986. And these essays, all these essays, they have been dedicated to all those who write in African languages, and not only to the African languages, but to the people who write mainly in their mother tongue, in their local languages. To them, his essays they have been dedicated. Okay, next. So, from the essay, I'm going to start the essay only. So, that is when we turn the pages of India's history, or when we turn the pages of any country's history, we may read or we may come to know that India, it was one of the colonies of the British Empire. So not only India, in the same way many other countries like Africa, Kenya, they were also the colonies of the British Empire. And as we know all, India became independent during the year 1947. In the same way, Africa became independent in the year 1960, whereas Kenya declares its independence in the year 1963. So here colonizing means take control of another country. Decolonizing means going away, freeing oneself from that colonial system. So here from decolonizing the mind mainly means that is freeing oneself from the British writing, from the English, from the clutches of English, and mainly writing in the local languages, in their mother tongue or in the local languages. So here decolonizing the mind also means the politics of language in Africa, and education, according to the writer, or the main intention of this essay, it is mainly education should be in our mother tongue. So only we can able to grasp each and every point. Since we have control, we have the mastery to some extent, we have the mastery in our mother tongue. So we are able to understand each and most of the points, the situation, condition of the essays of that education. So, and one more thing, according to Ngugi Thiong'o, writers should write in their native language so that the literature of that language, their country, it is going to be enriched. And by writing in the native language, the writers they can enrich and contribute to their native language, and also the locals, the people of that country, they are able to understand our books. So, and one more very important point, according to Ngugi Thiong'o, that is language carries culture and culture carries literature. So literature to be written mainly in the local language. And one more thing he opines, that is Ngugi wa Thiong'o opines, language is not just the string of words, string of letters. It displays our culture, tradition, history, and our land. So, very important, the writers, they should try to write in their local language. So, to all the writers who are interested to write in their local language, in their mother tongue, to them this particular the series of essays has been dedicated. So when we come back to the essay itself, so here the writer mainly talks about his country, about his Kenya. So I was born into a large peasant family, father, 4 wives, and about 28 children. I asked, that is during those days they had a very big family, and he also one of 28 children, so they had a very wider extended family. And when they come to their local language, they mainly spoke, writer, his siblings, cousins, his friends, mainly they spoke Gikuyu. It was the local language, one of the local languages of Kenya. As we worked in the fields, we spoke Gikuyu in and outside the home. That is not only Gikuyu, it was their mother tongue, even it was the local language. Even outside also they were able to speak mainly Gikuyu. And next the writer, he mainly explains, they had, that is since they were speaking Gikuyu not only at the outside, even at the not only in the home, even at the outside, so they had so many opportunities, they had so many chances to enrich their language, to enrich the vocabulary, to extend their language, to beautify their language, and mainly explains the chances, the opportunities in which the writer and his friends, siblings, cousins, they had so many chances to enrich their language, Gikuyu. I can vividly recall those evenings of storytelling around the fireside. It was mostly the grown-ups telling the children, but everybody was interested and involved. We children would retell the stories the following day to other children who worked in the fields, picking up pyrethrum flowers, tea leaves, or coffee beans of our European and African land. Also, the first opportunity, the first chance to improve their language, to enrich their language, to beautify their language, it was mainly the session called storytelling around the fireside. So usually during evening, so during those days they hadn't any other entertainments like mobile, cell phone, TV, nothing at all. So only story, the elders, they used to tell the stories, and the children, they would be so happy to hear or listen the stories. So here during that session, evenings of storytelling session around the fireside, all the grown-ups, they used to tell the stories one by one, and children, not only children but all the people who are interested, they are also going to be involved in that storytelling session. And one more opportunity these children, they used to get, mainly these children, they used to retell the same stories next day to their friends who were absent, or to their friends, to their other people, other children who worked in the fields picking the pyrethrum flowers. Pyrethrum flowers means a type of flowers just like a sevantige hoovu, tea leaves, coffee beans. So just here one may observe the way in which these children under British Empire, so badly under the British colonial system, so badly these small children, they used to be tortured, they used to be humiliated, so badly punished. So these children, they were taken as, that is they were nothing but slaves in their own land. These Kenyan people, they were the slaves. The way in which we Indians our forefathers of Indians, they had undergone such a suffering, humiliation, the same suffering, humiliation, punishment, these Kenyan people, they also suffered. Kenyans also suffered. So here children, they were used as workers, laborers, mainly to pick the pyrantrum flowers, tea leaves, coffee beans, mainly from the European and African landlords. And here the writer mainly tells about the moral theme, the moral message of the stories. And these stories mainly about the animals as the main characters. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಮಾರಲ್ ಸ್ಟೋರೀಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಇದರಲ್ಲೂ ಹೇಳಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಥ್ರೂ ದೋಸ್ ಮಾರಲ್ ಸ್ಟೋರೀಸ್ we want to convey certain message. We are able to convey certain moral theme, moral message to the people, to the children. In the same way, here also these stories, mainly the main characters, mainly the animals. That is, taking animals as the main characters, some incident, some moral theme, some moral message is going to be conveyed. So here, that is hare ಅಂದರೆ ಮೊಲ, a type of animal just like a rabbit, ಮೊಲ ಆ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಣಿ, being small, weak but full of innovative wit and cunning was our hero, and we identified with him as he struggled against the brutes of prey like lion, leopard, hyena. So here one thing, the hare, though it is a very small animal, very weak compared to that is compared to the wild animals like lion, leopard, hyena, but this hare, it is very innovative, it has innovative wit and it is very famous for its cunningness. And ನಮ್ಮ ಇದರಲ್ಲೇ ಒಂದು ಮೊಲ ಮತ್ತು ರ್ಯಾಬಿಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲಯನ್. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಕಥೆ ಏನು ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ದಟ್ ರ್ಯಾಬಿಟ್ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು defeat lion mainly by using its ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾವಿಲಿ ನೀರಿದೆ, ಬಾವಿಲಿ ಆ ನೀರಲ್ಲಿ ಲಯನ್ ತನ್ನ ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಷನನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ಇಟ್ ಜಂಪ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಡೈಸ್. ಸೊ ಅಂದರೆ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮೇನ್ಲಿ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ intelligence, because of that witticism of that hare, though it was a very small animal, it is able to defeat, it is able to kill that lion. So in the same way, in Kenyan culture also, the stories mainly about the animals, and for these children, hare, it was their hero, and they identified with him as he struggled against the animals like lion, leopard and hyena ಅಂತಂದರೆ that is mainly ಕತ್ತೆ ಕಿರುಬ. So here in this, that is these children, they used to compare hare with themselves, mainly because hare means they, just like hare, these Kenyans, they are also very weak, very small. And here lion, leopard, hyena means very strong. That is just like the British Empire, just like the English. And so they were thinking, these children, these Kenyan children, they were thinking that though we were very small, but we should be as strong as hare. We should be with the intelligence, with the witticism of hare, so that very easily we can defeat the British. So that the seed to defeat the British, they had when they were very young, in their childhood itself. So his victories were our victories, and we learned that struggle against hostile nature, enemies of nature like drought, rain, sun, wind, a confrontation often forcing them to search for forms of operation. But we were also interested in the struggles amongst themselves, and particularly between the beast and the victims of prey. These twin struggles against nature and other animals reflected real life struggles in the human world. Here, even though the writer mainly is talking about the animals, the stories, one thing, by these stories, these children, they were able to enrich their vocabulary, they were able to extend their vocabulary, and they were able to learn such new idioms, phrases, and use of all those things, that is only to enrich their language. That is one thing. In the same way, they had the chance to retell the stories by using their imagination, by remembering the words, by with the help of enriched vocabulary, extended vocabulary. These children, they were able to retell the stories, so that since these stories, they were told mainly in the local language Gikuyu, and since these children, they had the mastery, they know that Gikuyu language very well, they were able to get to some extent mastery in that beautiful language. That is one thing. And second point, the writer mainly highlights the stories, the moral message, moral theme, a beautiful message which has been conveyed, mainly through these stories. So here the animals, though the struggle mainly between two varieties of animals, one very small, just like here, very small, very weak, and another side very strong, very big in its size, that is lion, leopard. And these children, they were comparing themselves with the hare, that is just like hare, they were also very small, weak, but they want to cultivate that innovative wit and cunningness, intelligence of the hare, so that very easily they can defeat the British, who were like lion, leopard, hyena, that is they were very strong. That is one thing. And one more point, through these stories, these children, they used to get mainly to fight against any situation, any condition. Maybe it is like enemies of nature, like drought, rain, so that these children, they should be able to get every strength mainly through these stories. Okay, thank you, take care.